I'm always late.
You gave me hope when it seemed hopeless. You put a song in my heart. Showed me a road not often taken. You gave me a start all the way. Why did you ever change your name? All the way. Why did you ever change your name? Because you were like a wave on the ocean. Wild and free you came. And you were like a storm coming out of mountains, never to be tamed all the way. Why did you ever change your name all the way? Why did you ever change your name?
Welcome back to our second to last Wednesday night Bible studies on Lady Babylon. You have come tonight to something sweet. I have things for you. I have things for you. You're going to love this. Tonight, we get to bring Jesus. We're going to bring him right here. We're going to put him right in this seat and we're going to interrogate him. We're going to, for your sake, the jury, so that you have the capacity to decide his fate. Afterwards, we may have Gnostic informant appear with some text. He's been working diligently. Good for him with text. He's becoming so much more enthralled with the sources. Yes, yes. Tonight on Lady Babylon. Now, what finer purification could we perform tonight than to bring in somebody who was there? Let's start off this session with a purification through Celsus, somebody who was there, somebody who saw what was going on. Let's take a look tonight. Thank you, Celsus. Sorry they won. But here we're fighting the same battle. This is fantastic. And everyone here, you've come here because you know, and you're drawn by those texts. You know you are. Let's get the real stuff. Let's get the real juice tonight. I want to bring him in. Where is Jesus? Let's just bring him in right away. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, may I introduce to you Jesus Christ. It's your turn. It's your turn. Come to me. Come to me. Come to me. You know, you said you had to. You had to. I summon you from the kingdom of Satan. I summon you here to testify today. Your pain will be our pleasure. Let's bring him up. That gets me charged. I love it. Wherever two or three are gathered in my name, I will be there in your midst. Right here, right now, right out of his mouth. Let's get the answers. Go for it, Chewy. Blast off. This is John 1:45. And Philip found Nathanael, and he said to him, the one who Moses wrote about, you know, in the law and the prophets, we found him. And guess what? His name's Jesus. Yeah, son of Joseph from Nazareth. Nazareth. Hit us with the second one. State your name, please. Jesus of Nazareth. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. Did you stay in Nazareth, or did you end up going off somewhere else? I was born in Bethlehem, right? In the days of Herod the king. And look, these magi. They came from the east, right? Came to Jerusalem. Okay, these magi. Who are these magi? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. They were dudes asking, where's the one who's born? The Basileus. The Basileus? Yeah. The Basileus of the Jews. The king of the Jews. Fantastic. That's who you are. That's what you were born. Fantastic. Yeah. They saw his star. What's that, Jesus? His star in the east. They came, they bowed down. They bowed down to you, Jesus. Yeah, they bowed down. They bowed down to a baby. These guys are weird. They're all on drugs, right? These Magoi, tons of drugs. Are you ready? By the way, tonight, take it down for a minute, Chewy. Tonight, you want to see the drugs, and you want to see him as he's using them with his kids. I'm taking you tonight to show you what happens when Jesus Christ. We're back. I'm alive. That scared me. Some kind of interference. We're here to show you tonight. We're here to show you tonight that moment when Jesus Christ becomes completely stoned. Yeah, with his boys. Let's go and look at it. Jesus. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Let me ask you a few questions. I've got to enjoy it, right? Who wouldn't enjoy it? Who gets a chance to do this? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Who gets a chance to do this? Go ahead, Chewy, bring it up. And, you know, coming into the house, what do these magi do? They saw the little kid with his mother, Mary, right? And falling down, they worshiped him. And they opened up their treasure. They opened up their treasure. Yeah, they opened up, you know, carrying him around. You got a little box. It's full of what? Jesus, what they give you is Dora, is gifts. They gave me gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Only these aren't the gold and the frankincense and the myrrh you know about. This is the frankincense that is a part of a compound formula. This is the Smyrna. You don't know. You know it was on his face when they arrested him? You know, you said it was blood. No, don't get ahead of yourself. Smyrna on your face. What did Jesus have on his face when he got arrested in a public park with a naked kid? Let's go. Keep going. You guys are going to love it. I bring you the top shelf tonight. Look at this. So they went away, and behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph. Wait a minute, we got angels appearing, and what did he say? He said, "Take that Paidion, take that kid, right? Take that little guy and his mother, and get out of here. Go to Egypt and stay there until I tell you otherwise." Right? Because Herod, take it down. Herod wants to kill him. Herod wants to kill him. Joseph had a dream. He had a vision. He had a vision. Okay, are we going to jump into the prophets? Yeah, we're going to jump into the prophets, only we're going to see it from the historical actuality this time instead of from the fairy tale. When the evangelicals tell you Bible times, as soon as they say those two words, run, right? It's an unreality. We're going to look at the text and exactly what the text says. We're not making up a thing. It's all coming from the text. You're going to be surprised when you see the drugs. Let's go. Love it. We know we love it. Yeah. And he said, get him and go off. Herod's trying to kill you. Go to the next one. Next one, Chewy. Yeah. But when Herod died, look, this angelos came. He appeared. Poof. Onar. In a dream. Onar. In a dream. While we were in Egypt. Daddy had a dream. So, okay, I see where you're going. I hear you, and the jury hears you, and they hear your prophetic personality, Jesus. Love it, love it. But let's go and ask a couple of questions. So, Dad brings you back. Now, riddle me this, Jesus. Were you educated? Did you do something with all that gold? Did anybody notice you walking around with all that gold? My goodness, gold. And next thing you know, you'll be buying maidservants. You'll be buying virgins. Yes. Perhaps we'll find some of those virgins tonight that you could have bought with your gold. Yeah, maybe we will. How about this, Jesus? I love your clothes. Your threads, man. Let's not take them apart, right? Let's see who gets this. Let's let the fates determine. I want those threads. I want those threads, Morning Star. You've got the groove. Let's go. Next text. Let's follow Jesus, right? You see what happens? Clown. Blow it up, please, Chewy. And oh, look at this, guys. In Greek, you're gonna love the look at the genitive absolute that starts this little thing out. Yeah, with the Sabbath coming on. What happened? What happened? He began to teach in the synagogue. Wait a minute. These synagogues that started to get built a couple hundred years ago, right? They're new. They're full of Greek. What are we going to do? Jesus is going to go around and teach them. Is that what you're going to do? He's a teacher, ladies and gentlemen. And many people hearing him, they were kind of struck, saying, where did he get these ideas and this wisdom that he's got? This wisdom that's been given to him. And what else does he have? He has dunamis. And every Bible on the planet in English will translate this as miracula, miracles. But we know that's not what it is. We know because we don't follow the fairy tale. If you thought Jesus was snapping his fingers and stuff was happening, you are an idiot. And I mean that from Greek. You are what people called Peter and John or James, I forget, but Peter was there. We'll look in just a second. And they called them idiotes. They were not uneducated. They didn't even use that word. We'll look at it. But that word idiot is definitely there. If you thought that was happening, it's because you haven't lived. You haven't lived. Yeah. Boom. Miraculum. No. So what is the dunamis? What are the dunamis? Plural. What are they? What are they then? He's got good speak. He's got good. Here is where we'll show you the actuality. Bring it up. Look at this. Dunamis. Generally, power, force, might, the expression of that power, the expression of some capacity is dunamis. Yeah, and by the way, one classicist is worth 50 Bible scholars. Yeah, seriously. I would take a seasoned classicist any day of the week to the best Bible scholars from every top seminary in the country. Seriously. For this reason that I'm just about to show you. Watch what the text will bring you, will show you. Okay. Look, dunamis. What else is it? Well, it's a medicine. You're kidding me. I'm in a medicine? No. Look, people, at the end of the first line. Look. Polypharmakoi dunamis, right? The polypharmac. And we know because you and I have already been there with Nero. Remember when Nero showed up and we were looking at the recipe? What is a polypharmacon? We already know. We have ears to hear. You've been here the whole time? Yes, you know what that polypharmacon is. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Jesus. I'm not ignoring you. I know you want the center of attention. Just chill out there, Mr. Nazareth. Okay. Let's go to the next text. He's got to do what I tell him to do. Sure, it doesn't matter. Okay. And so I think we're one before that. Yeah. No, that's it. Up, but keep it up. I want you to see. Now look at B. Look at 4B. It's the action of those medicines, right? Which is a title, surprise, surprise, of a work of Galen, right? Part of the title, anyway. On those powers, a magical substance, right? Something that has a magical potency. That is what Jesus is doing. Yeah, he is inducing the drugs. He is bringing you the power of the medicine because he is the divine Son of God, physician, the great physician, not just physician, but the great physician. Aren't you? Yeah, he nodded. Thanks, bro. Thanks. Let's get another text there. I don't like this. I feel like I'm being too nice. For so long I've wanted to do this. I just haven't. Here's the opportunity. I love everybody for coming, even the evangelicals who want to see me do my thing. Thank you for coming. It's a little bit twisted, but I appreciate it. I do. This is fantastic. And look, so Jesus goes around teaching. He goes around teaching, presenting himself as a teacher, and he gets these little kids to follow him. And something happens. Somebody comes in. They're like, what? Who is this guy? He goes back to his hometown, right? And what happens? The people there are like, isn't this that Tectone? Isn't this that Tectone, the son of Mary, right? Brother of James and Iostes kai Uyuda kai Simonos. Isn't this that dude? Yeah, aren't his Adelphi, aren't his sisters here too? Yeah. And what happened? What happened? They got scandalized. They got scandalized. You know why? Because they knew who he was. They knew his tricks. And you know what he couldn't do anymore? He couldn't use his drugs anymore. So he went out to a village. Now, why? And you have to ask yourself, why? Remember, the Magi are the ones who started this whole trip. Jesus, the Magi. I got to start asking him questions. The Magi started everything out. Ball gag down. Yeah. The Magi started everything out. Why do you think Jesus is going around stoned. We're going to look at him actually getting stoned. Tonight, you are here to see Jesus Christ get stoned. You're going to love it. I've been saving this one, people. Oh, I'm pulling it out now because this is the stuff. It's delicious. Let's go to the next one. Look, and what is that tectone? Right? It's a master of an art, as in gymnastics, right? They talk about physicians this way, right? I just want you to see that it doesn't have to be a builder. It doesn't have to be a carpenter, right? It's really a technician, right? A master of a certain area. Okay. And he's got his students with him. It only makes sense that they're saying, hey, right? Didaskalos, right? Teacher, where, yeah. And here he is, children everywhere. Let's go to the next one. Boom. Oh, love it. Mark 6:4. And he said to them, Jesus said to them, because he's answering. Okay, let's take a step back. What's happened? He conked out. He conked out in his own place of where his family were. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. Nobody bought it. Yeah. Even his brothers and his sisters, and that's especially his brothers and his sisters, right? Because why? Because they knew him. They knew what he'd been doing the whole time down in Egypt. What do you think he did with all that gold? Yeah, right. I'm going to show you the frankincense and the myrrh. I'm going to show you those, but I'm going to show you Jesus on frankincense and myrrh. You want to see Jesus on what they use on the island of Cyprus to worship the great queen Aphrodite? You want to see it, you bunch of Satanists. I love this. This is fantastic. Let's go. And what is this? No, so Jesus says, hey, prophet doesn't get any honor, right? He's not without it. Prophet's not without, technically he's not without honor, except, right? It may, except in his own backyard, right? In his own patridi, right? His own stomping grounds. It's where all his relatives are, right? And in his own house. Prophets don't get honor, right? Isn't that amazing? Mind control. Brilliant mind control, Jesus. Love it. What's the question on the next slide? Yeah. Which one is next? This one? Yeah, go ahead and put it up. Okay. Can you do miracles? Can you do miracles, Jesus? Right? Can you do miracles? Wait a minute. You don't understand the miracles? Oh, okay. I'm talking dunamis. You know what I'm talking about. Can you use those powers? Can you use those powers? Yeah. You couldn't, could you? Did your steam run out? You lost it, didn't you? And you couldn't around your own people. And let me tell you this, that moment of weakness is the most delicious thing I've ever seen in my life. Because it's an inability, Jesus. It's an inability. Look, people, edunato in Greek. You cannot get anything more explicit. He didn't have the potency to pull it off. He couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. They took away his drugs. Shame on them. And you say, wait a minute, Jesus is a prophet. Jesus is a prophet. How are their drugs? Keep going. Did we skip? Chewy, did we skip? You sure? Okay. Okay, we'll get there. He wasn't able to do anything, except this. And what was he? Look at the end of this. Look at the Amen. Holy Ghost, except for what? For putting his hands on some people who are arostos. And arostos is not always ill. Sometimes it's translated as ill, but it can also be like in a mentally ill state. So he's laying his hands on them. and he's etherapeuten. He is applying the therapy, baby, to these people. He can still do that, right? He can still do that to a few of these. But his dunamis, he doesn't have it in his own backyard. He doesn't have it in his own backyard. Fantastic. Took away his drugs. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Blow it up. And Jesus was just, all it says is ethalamus. And Jesus was just, he was like, what? I can't believe these people didn't buy it. Right? They got no faith. They're faithless. Right? And so what does he do? He goes around to the villages and the areas around where he lives so that, he can get out and meet some fresh face, and maybe his, maybe his medicines will work. Yeah, let's go. Fantastic. Bring it down. Oh, love it. And so what did he do? He calls together the 12. These are his 12 children, and AKA apostles. And he begins to send them out two at a time, two and two, right? And what does he do? Right? He gives them what it takes to cast out, right, these bad spirits, to perform. Look at the last word, akatharton. Look at that, the acathartic. Right? This is purification. What is Jesus, what are you teaching your disciples? To purify. To purify. And okay, so this is no necromancy, right? No necromancy. Yes, okay, fine. And these cathartic rites, these are pretty much, there's been 1,000 years of them up until this point. You're not the first, are you, Jesus? No. He's not the first. As a matter of fact, he's on the scene quite late. Quite late. Yeah, this is magi. Next one. Yeah. And what happens? He's going to teach his people, right? Right? They're going to cast out. They cast out a lot of demons. A lot of demons. They cast them out because these are cathartic rites, right? And what did they do? They went around touching people with oil, baby. Just touch people. Oily. Give you some oil. And giving therapy to the people who didn't feel so good, right? To the people who weren't quite right. They made them right, oiled them up in the process. These are the oil boys. These are the oil boys. Think about that for a minute. Just step out historically as we sit here and look at Jesus. He is sending teenagers out to oil people and to cast out their demons. Okay. Is that clear? Did everybody on the jury hear that? We good? Okay, let's go to the next. Go to the next one, please. Boom. Mark 6:15. Some people say, Jesus, that you're Elias, right? And other people say that you're one of the prophets. Yeah. This is just the way it is. What is a prophet? And the next question should be, I want to pull up my question list, Chewy. What is a prophet? What is a prophet, Jesus? Give us a definition here. Oh, people, look at this. Somebody ordered up Alice in Wonderland. One who speaks for a god and interprets his will to man, as in the prophet of Zeus. That's what that says in Greek, Dios, right? Zeus. And an interpreter and expounder of the will of Zeus. For example, Tiresias. Oh, you didn't know a prophet? And everybody starts panicking. Are you panicking now? Because a little bit of Hebrew propaganda from antiquity, from pukes like Josephus and Philo, has permeated your brain over the centuries. You got to clean that out. Have you seen anything yet from the New Testament? No. You're looking at a Greek concept. Guess what? Prophet is a Greek word. is a Greek word. The concept that the Alexandrians who wrote the Septuagint in the 3rd century, the concept of the prophet having a vision, guess what? Guess where that comes from? This tradition, the Greek tradition, is 1,000 years before this, already established. It's a Bronze Age thing. Prophets, Bronze Age. Yeah, they're already there in the earliest stuff. And Homer, can you believe Homer? Oh, Calchas. Love it. What's a prophet? Let's keep looking at the definition of prophet, because I want to introduce the Satanic congregation to what a prophet is for the first time. Look at that second line right after Tiresias. It says Bacchu prophetes, right? The prophet of Bacchus. Prophet of Bacchus, perhaps of Orpheus. Yeah, and Dionysus, same, no differences there, right? And what else? Of Delphi and Apollo. You have prophets. You didn't know the Pythias were prophetesses? Yeah. Did you know that by the time Jesus is walking around calling himself a prophet, because that's what he does, Jesus, when you say to a crowd of people why you can't do your mojo, well, it's because a prophet has no honor when he's at home. Okay. All right. So what else is a prophet, Jesus? No, we need that back. What else is a prophet, Jesus? Look at number 2. It's a title of official keepers of oracles. Okay, if you guys thought I was making this up, don't you know that Jesus is part of the oracular tradition? He may be a pirate, but he's part of the oracular tradition. The Christ has to be, right? Why do you think he's walking around saying he's a prophet? I'm a prophet. I'm a prophet. Let me prophesy. Yep. Look at number 3, an interpreter. I like that. Of what? What do you interpret? The mantis. Look at that Greek word, mantis, right? Mantis. What is the mantic? That's Apollo, baby. That's that priestess at Delphi. That's what she gets, is that mania. Are those from the same root? They think they are. Yeah. Mania and mantis. Who is a mantis? I know some praying mantises. Yeah, Jesus is going to turn into a praying mantis. Did you like this? I brought you here tonight to turn you into a praying mantis in front of my audience. Yeah, you're welcome, Son of God. I love it. Let's go to the next one. Number 5, an interpreter, a declarer. Roman numeral number 2. A herald, sort of herald. Now look at Roman numeral number 3. It stinks of poop. Intellectual, religious poop. Look what happened. They don't know how to fit your Christian tradition into the definition. So what did one of the editors that Liddell had for this, what did he do? Well, look, it's got to have its own definition for the Bible. When it's the Bible, it gets its own definition. That doesn't stand up to science, because there's things that are being written that are contemporary to the Bible, right? And the stuff that applies to them applies to the Bible. So let's blow this up, Chewy. Let me finish off. Watch what happens. Go beyond that creation, a revealer of God's will, a prophet, inspired preacher, an organ of special revelations. Do you hear the Christianity in the definition? So far, you have gotten the Greek in everything that's come before it with glorious sources. Look at that. Look at the sources in here. Eat that up. Who else? Did we skip over Epimenides? Look at number 4, people. Epimenides was a prophet. Do you know who Epimenides was? If Gnostic informant comes, I'll ask him to say something about Epimenides. But Epimenides is, because he's got some He's got gossip on Epimenides and Paul. Yeah, Paul. So I'll let him tell it. I'll let him tell it if he comes. But look, Epimenides is there, and who's that freak? He's the freak who gave Solon what Solon needed to start the wheels of what eventually became democracy. Yeah. From this guy, Epimenides, who's a prophet, who is a prophetes, a prophet, people, Epimenides. And do you know what this prophet, this weird prophet, do you know what he looked like? He had tattoos all over his skin. They took his skin when he was done with it and they turned it in to a scroll. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? That's respect. He was able to pass down to you. You're sitting here today. If you're sitting in the US of A, yeah, if you're sitting in a democratic government, if you're sitting there, if you're one of those workers, you're only there because of Epimenides, a known drug using prophet who had visions. And, you know, you got to give it to him for all the science. You know what I mean? Just smart. Smart. Yeah. Yeah. It's with the drugs. It's the drugs, right? None of this physics, right? You can't get there without the drugs. What do you think the dunamis are? What do you think the powers are that Jesus is doing? It didn't say miraculum, it said dunamis. Fantastic. Let's keep going. We still haven't seen Jesus stoned. I want to see it. It's kind of the climax. Look at the last, go back and look at the definition. Look at the very bottom here, people. Look at it. I just want you to note it also means an herbalist. And when they say herbalist, they mean somebody who grows and prepares drugs. Drugs, right? This is where you get your drugs from in the ancient world, right? And let's check out the medical. None of the watch. Here's how you need a classicist over a Bible scholar any day of the week. Are you ready? Go to the next one and blow it up for me. Fantastic. Put your glasses on, stupid. Okay. Look, ton propheton. Who is this? This is Galen, baby. You just sit back and love it. Oh, yeah. Look at this. I can hear it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Look at the publication date on that, people. Look at it. 1829. 1829. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Here it is. Ton propheton de auton dienechenton. Alleluia. Et medzon hemin apuria genetai tois me prophetais. Look, there it is. There it is. On that second line down, kind of in the middle. Prophetais. Prophet. Wait, what is Galen doing talking? I thought this was 2nd century. What is he doing talking about? He's a dyed in the wool physician, Hippocratic loving guy. He is way into the anatomy. He's into going into Rome and giving exhibitions. There's a famous one that he gave, if you don't mind me telling you. Let's shut up, Jesus. There's something wonderful that Galen did. He went into Rome and he was like, I'm going to show the peeps at the exhibition where all the smarty smarts get together and look at things like anatomy. He's like, watch this. And he takes in and he ligates the recurrent pharyngeal nerve and gets a pig to stop squealing and then releases the ligation and pig starts screaming again. He says, voila. Well, he didn't say that because he wasn't French, right? But eureka. And there it was. Now you know the origin of the voice, right? We know that somehow it's connected from here and it's acting here. Fantastic. Yeah, I bet you couldn't prove something like that. Don't give me that. He should have had his own cult. So what is he saying here? Blow it up. What is he saying here? He says, look, the prophets, they aren't in agreement, right? Concerning the drug that he's talking about in this section. And he says, look, the confusion is even greater with those of us who are not prophets, right? So this is one of the drugs that he's talking about that's being used by the prophets. And you say to me, oh, you mean the prophets were using drugs? Yeah. Yeah. Prophets use drugs. This is a medical text. Prophets use drugs. Fantastic. Next one. What about Dioscorides? Let's get another physician in here. Let's get another physician. Asaron. Asaron. What is asaron? Asaron. Well, some people call asaron, I need to see it. Some people call asaron nardos. It's an agria. It's a wild form of the nard. It's a wild form of the nard. Thanks. You mean the stuff that Jesus is carrying around is this drug? Yeah, and okay, it's a prophet's drug, right? Let's see what. Oh, look at the next word. Propheta. The prophets. The prophets? Prophets. What do the prophets call it? Haim areos. The blood of Aries. Oh my God. Have you had the blood of Aries? Have you had the blood of Aries? This is my blood. This is my blood. These are priesthoods of blood and flesh. Blood and flesh. Hail Satan. Blood and flesh. Let's keep going. It's baked in. It's baked. No, I need to go back to the one that it was. Boom. Yep. Okay. And no, you're right. Let's keep going. No, actually, let's go back. I see why. Sorry, Chewy. Stop turning the ship around. So the prophets call it the blood of Aries. Ostanes, who, if you know who Ostanes is, who is Ostanes? Who, pray tell, Jesus Christ is Ostanes? He's a what? He's a what? A magus. He's a magus. He's a magus. He's a famous magus. And what does he call it? He calls it Thesson. Thesson. And what do the Aiguptioi call it? The Egyptians, they call it Ker-era. Ker-era. And what do the Romaioi, what do the Romans call it? Perpressam. Perpressam. And some people call it Bakar. Yeah, and what do the Thuskoi call it? What do they call it? They call it Sukinum. Sukinum. Really? Okay. All right. Some people call it nard. Right? What do those Gauls call it? What do those Gallic people call it? Right? We know they're in Turkey, right? We know these are the ones in Turkey. What do they call it? Bakar. That makes sense. Bakar. And it's a great smelling plant, by the way. But let's go to the next one. What does he say? What happens to this plant? Oh, no. Look at the bottom, second line. Second line from the bottom says Theriodectois. Start from the beginning of that line. It causes the menstruation to flow, right? People did not take it down for a minute. I forgot to tell the audience. I forgot to tell them. I should have told you a long time ago. There are ways of drawing down menstruation. There are ways of working in concert with your cycle using plants and animals, right? Substances mixed together that for you can cause you a catharsis, can cause you a cleansing or a purging. Now, you can sit there and you can let your body do it itself, or you can put your body back in touch with Gaia and let Gaia make you the most healthy. That's what this doctor is talking about. This is one of the drugs that causes us to menstruate. Wow. Talk about control. Talk about controlling the flow. When I started reading that, I was like, oh, on the drug side, I was like, whoa, whoa. Because if you think about it, that's also a form of contraception. A form of contraception. Where is Mike Johnson when you need him? Let's go. Next one. Yeah. It's good for it works not only to bring down menstruation, but it also is useful when you drink it, he says, when you give it with wine. It's useful for those who are involved with the thadia, those who are either struck or who are intentionally involved, take it down, involved with drinking or administering or pushing or snorting. How many ways did we miss? Anal suppositorying, right? They use those two. Pessering. If anybody knows what pessary is, look it up. Look it up. It's too delicate for my ears tonight. Yeah, pessary. Let's go to the last one. And what else about this plant that the Magi are using? What else about it? Well, he tells you what it does and what you can take it with melicrat too, which is like honey water. But I want you to notice on line 9, the third line from the bottom, in the middle, it says Magnantai dekai murois. Yeah, it's going to be mixed with that muron. It's going to be mixed with it. So those sex drugs that the people on the island of Cyprus are using in celebration of their mystery, those are here. And they're used with the very same drugs that Jesus Christ was given. And where do these things come from? They come from Pontus. They come from Phrygia. They're Illyrian. They come from Italy too. Right. So they're very well aware. Mediterranean society, take it down, is very well aware of exactly what these plants can do. Right. And the knowledge is incredible. We have lost this knowledge in the last 1,000 years of Christianity. We have lost this knowledge. As soon as Julian gave up the ghost, right, as soon as he finished his quest, everything went to the Christians. And just like he said, as soon as they start teaching, they will warp. I saw somebody write in. I didn't get this comment, but I saw somebody write in last week, or maybe it was the week before, and say something about Nonus, and say this is a text that is outside the Bible, the sacred nature of the Bible. It's not that inspired. It's not that. We're just not going to accept it. We're going to cut the authority. You know how the Christians set their canon by cutting out the things that scared them, right? And the things they didn't want to teach. They cut all those things out. As a classicist, you're trained. You can't take a body of literature and treat it any different from any other body of literature. They are still human texts. And we're not there to establish doctrine. I'm sorry, ladies of frustration, but we are not there to establish a doctrine. We are there as scientists with words. We are philologists. Yeah. And that's why you always come up with a fairy tale. And you give it to the people, and those people suck it up. And I know you do, because you bring it onto this channel. You bring your narrative onto this channel. Remember what Celsus said? They're idiots. They're illiterate. If you consider yourself an intelligent, well-educated, literate, and when I say literate, what do I mean by literate? I mean, you know letters and you read. I don't mean you recognize the stop sign. I mean literate. And the early Christians weren't. And Celsus was pointing it out. He was pointing it out to them, right? Notice what the Christians do. They pick on those who don't have access. Yeah. Yeah. An educated Christian, yeah, doesn't exist in the world of the 2nd century. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Let's go on to the next source. This is bubbling hot, and we still want to see Jesus getting high. Yep. Some people say he's a prophet, et cetera, et cetera. Keep going. Who are these idiots? Look at the second line, people. Look at the second line, the second to last word, idiotai. So Peter and John are going around, and the people who are watching them do their thing, they can't believe their paresian, right? They're struck by their free speech. They're struck by their boldness to speak. And okay, and unfortunately, kai katalam label, excuse me, katalabomenoi, katalabomenoi. They grasp, they hold on to, they finally comprehend, they realize what? Yeah, that these people are idiotai, that Peter and John, that they're idiots and they're agrammatoi. That's just the alpha privative plus the gram root from graph to write. They cannot read. They're illiterate. It doesn't say uneducated. If you read a translation, it says uneducated. It doesn't. It doesn't. It says they don't read. Was it on the skills test? Jesus, when you obviously weren't using Roman state standards because your disciples can't friggin' read. Thought they were your students. Let's go into it. Jesus, let's ask about your students. Where's the next slide? What did people say about you? Oh, here it is. What was our question here? Jesus is saying anybody who receives a prophet, right, a name of a prophet, he gets the reward of a prophet. He gets the wages of a prophet, right? He who receives justice in the name of justice, this dude gets a reward too. Keep going. And whoever would what? Whoever would water one of my mikron, one of my little kitties with a glass of cold water, right? Whoever give him this, whoever give him that cup, the name of that student, I'm saying to you, amen. I'm saying to you, he's not going to lose his reward. He's not going to lose his reward. The one who rewards the prophet. You know what Jesus was making? He was making prophets. And you say, well, that kind of makes sense that he was doing it. You can feel the magic pass along, even though you have these Renaissance paintings or you have these older Christian Byzantine skinified things of all the 12 apostles, and they look like horrendous. Let's go. Sorry, but yeah, when you've seen classical art, the stuff that is following is garbage. Garbage. You can't say that. You can't say, I have nobody to fear. So I can say exactly what I want to say. And it's garbage. Look at the Byzantine art. Oh my God. It's like, are they all sick? Did they have the plague, Chewy? I think they all have the plague again. Look at them. They're all like super, super emaciated. Don't look at their bodies. Cover up. Do you have the portrayal of breasts in Byzantine Christian art? You'd be hard pressed. Start looking now. Okay, let's go. Mark 9:41. So whoever gives, this is just a restatement, whoever gives that cup of water, right, in my name, right? Why? He says, because you are of Christ. That's all I wanted you to see here. You belong, he says, kiddies. You belong to Christ. You belong to the one Christed. That's how the cult works. That's how the mystery works, right? That's why it's always described as a wedding. Don't be surprised if the imagery in your mystery cult has pulls in a wedding. Don't be surprised. It's how it's at the core of everything, right? Who's Mars Mary? Oh, who do you think? Right? Fantastic. Let's go to the next one. And who? Oh yeah, whoever is gonna scandalize one of my mikron, one of my little boys. It's starting to get disgusting, Jesus. It really is. Whoever's going to scandalize one of my little boys, one of the little boys that puts all his trust in me, right? It's better. It's better that he ends up getting thrown into a river with something hung around his neck from the mill, right? Oh, right. Thanks. Okay, keep going. Tell me, this micro, who is this? Jacobo to micro. You know these disciples of Jesus? They're wee lads. They're wee lads. Jesus, tell me. Quick, Jesus, tell me. What are they called? What are your disciples, your apostles called? What are the 12, Jesus? What are the 12 called? Technia. Technia. What are technia? A technion is a small child. Yeah, is a small child. Children. Children, come with me. Come with me, children. Now, let's look at something funny. We've brought you today. Go to that last one. Yeah, and here he's calling him Paideia again because he's a pervert, right? Either that or he's weird. Jesus is totally weird that he's calling middle-aged men children all the time. It's really weird. Let me wash your feet, kids. Right? Did you ever have somebody say that to you? Let me wash your feet. Okay, let's go to the next one. It's, it's the thing. It's the way they did it. I want you to look at this article. This is just a randomly plucked article from the bin of historic crappery. How old were Christ's disciples? Here they are. Otis and Frank are going to figure it out for us. I don't know who they are. I don't know if they're husband and wife. But I do know this. They wrote about the age of the disciples, and they have a real problem. Take it down. They have a real problem because it looks like they're so young. And every time they're getting in a circumstance that looks like it's little kids reacting. And we know, as Frank and Otis know, we know the Mathetes was a student. It was a teenager. Yeah. From primary to secondary, somebody all the way from about 9 all the way up to about 18, 19, about there. Yeah. So Otis knows it. And they're trying to write an article to figure it out. Let's follow them. Look at how fun this is. This is glorious. I love this kind of stuff. He took the children in his arms. He placed a child before those who asked who would be greatest in the coming kingdom. He welcomed the praise of children in the temple. Remember when they all ran into the temple and Jesus is kicking shit over and he's like, oh, and the kids are like, ah, and they're screaming. This is what he's talking about. He's got a herd of children. A herd of children. Who's this man with it? Did nobody think for a minute? Okay. He loved the rich young man. Yeah, he did love that rich young man. I remember that. I don't want to be that rich young man in the after, because who wants to be known for that in an egalitarian heaven? Certainly not me. Oh, he's that rich SOB. You know what I mean? Do we not find another marked instance in his friendship for the family in Bethany? If Lazarus were married, it's strange that his wife does not appear in the narrative, and we get the impression that the sisters had no husbands. It would, however, be unusual for so many in one household to remain single after reaching the usual age for marriage, which we have seen to be 17 or 18 years in the case of men. That varies. That age varies according to region. There's no blanket. Like, this guy believes in Bible times. And in Bible times, there are absolutes, right? You can throw a rock from one village to another where the customs are totally different. So, okay, in general, are these the ages? No, they're not. They hit the women's age, though. They're in the neighborhood because women are married off as nymphs because they are in a biological state where they can produce children most efficiently. They're farmers, people. Remember, these are farmers, herdsmen, right? What? Right? Okay. So that's what he's getting into. It's really strange that Mary and Martha and Lazarus, what are they doing? That this is they seem like children. They're perfectly set in an environment. They're children. Jesus has more kids that he's walking around with. Let's see what he finishes. Let's finish up that section. If Lazarus were married, it's strange that his wife does not appear in the narrative. Yeah. Should we jump down? Should we not think of the sisters as girls under 15 years of age? A young girl would be more likely than an adult male, to make such a complaint to a visitor as Martha did about her sister. When we read that Jesus loved Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, we see another example of the affection, the affectionate delight. The affectionate delight that he took in the young. Okay, Jesus took affectionate from the mouth of Christians themselves. Jesus took delight in the youth. Let's bring that next one. Okay, look at this, people. The important point, however, in connection with our present subject, is that as Jesus was so attracted toward the young, oh, I know that sounds bad. I know it sounds bad. They must have been strongly attracted to him. Oh, God, that sounds worse. That sounds worse. Oh, can these two people make this any worse? And it would have been strange if among those most earnest to receive his teaching, there were not some as young as those who in modern mission fields are likely to be among the earliest to become his followers. Okay. Did you smell that? Wow. Wow. Can you believe that? Does that Okay. People, you can't blame them. They're Christians and they're trying to answer the question of why is Jesus associated with a group of 12 boys? And why is he in the company always of other young people? Everywhere he goes into tombs and he's got boys in tombs. He's even dead and his body's gone, and all of a sudden there's a kid. What's going on with this guy with all these children? And he's yelling in the I'm not a child trafficker. I'm not. I promise. Okay, let's go. Let's keep rolling. Is there one more? We will not press the point. Oh, I just want to bring this. This is for the British audience. We will not press the point that it was very boylike to forget to take bread when going out on the lake. Right? You see what the apostles are doing? They're screwing up like children. He says, this is an angry British men, I think, and that young people would be more likely than older ones to have an open quarrel over seats at the table. Remember the whole question about who's going to sit where, right? You think a bunch of 35-year-old men would be doing that? You think a 35-year-old man would be happy if his mother came in to Jesus and said, let me ask you a favor. Can my kid sit on your right hand? Seriously, people? And you thought these were, oh my God. Oh my God, they're children, people. Perhaps we should not make much of their fright, he says, when the squall burst on their boat as they crossed the Sea of Galilee. Remember, I told you we looked at that. And the kids, they all get crazy. They're like, ah! And he's like, maybe we shouldn't make much of that. Why? Look, Dr. George Matheson. This guy has hoo-ha up as you know what. Dr. George Matheson, marveling at their abject trepidation, big word, says, listen to this quote. And if you wonder, King Chuck, why it's not worth your allegiance. If you wonder, here it is. Here's history. Burping, King Chuck, right upon your bib. Here it is. Here it goes. Fancy a company of English sailors overtaken by a sudden gale and giving vent to their feelings in a simultaneous shriek of terror. Imagine that. Fancy them. Ooh. Why? Why? Next one. Why is that fancy to me? Make your point. He explains the mystery for these men are not English. Oh, okay. Look, it's a bunch of people in Judea. These aren't Brits. There's no British sailor. There's no British sailor that's going to say something like, he's going to see that squall and he's going to be stiffer upper lip than anybody around. And he's going to say, according to his British pride. Yeah. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding, doctor? You're a doctor and you're going to seriously? Are we talking about text? No, because these are Bible scholars. These are not philologists. Everything that he just said, it doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant to the text. You cannot speak with your stupid mouth and affect a text that is 2,000 years old. You can't do it. You can't do it. So why do you bother? All you seminarians, all you professors of Bible, why do you bother with the books that are so meaningless, that have nothing to do with the original sources? All you like to do is you like to inject your own garbage. Let's go. Next one. This is Matthew 20:20. Yeah. And he went to so what happens? The mother, this is the mother, of the sons of Zebedee, right? What does she do? She comes there and she gets down in front of Jesus. She says, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. And what does she go on to do? She goes on to ask him, let my kitty sit on your right and your left hand. He's like, listen, lady. Yeah. He's going to take him up to the room eventually. He's going to take him up to the room. You know what happens in the room with Jesus? You get his flesh. Okay, I'm warning you people. You wanted to see Jesus on drugs? What does somebody do, Jesus, at this age? What does somebody do? How about some of the women? Again, on the third day, while she was working at the purple. Who are we talking about? Who are we talking working on the purple with her fingers? We're talking Mary, the mother of Jesus, the Magus, right? We're talking Mary. This prophet, this is his virgin mother. She was raised in the temple, you fools. Yeah, she's got her fingers in the purple. Isn't that nice? Salome likes her. Which one? Which one? Quick, go find her. Here we go, Mary. What's going on? Some dude came in. He was hot as hot can be. By the way, I promised you I would do this. Henry Campbell. If I am a teacher of Greek, ancient Greek, and if you would like to learn the language that inspires that stage where the actor stands, I will give you free lessons. I'm told by Chewy, who will rip my arms off if I don't make this offer. So there you go. Are you happy? Are you happy, Chewy? Okay, you finally got it. Don't. Thank you, Henry. I appreciate your time, sir. Okay, let's go. What else is Mary doing? After 9 months, he came back to his house and found Mary pregnant. Oh, seriously? How'd she get pregnant? Wherefore, being in the utmost distress, he trembled and cried out, saying, "Oh, Lord God, receive my spirit, for it's better for me to die than to live any longer." No, okay, because he's afraid. This girl came out of the temple. This girl came out of the temple. She was being raised in the temple with the purple. She was being fed by angels. She was a dove. She was a dove. Who do you think the Magi would come to? Did you think the Magi would come to anybody who was not the virgin born? Of course they wouldn't. It's part of the cult, people. That's how we get there. Go back to that text. Boom. Yeah, stop thinking about Henry. Get your head in the right place. Okay, and the virgins who were with Mary said to him, Joseph, what are you saying? Wait, The virgins who were with Mary, I told you they did something with that gold. I told you they did. How do you think a girl gets into a temple? How do you think she gets there? Right? There's connections. The virgins who were with Mary said to him, Joseph, what are you saying, you old boomer? We know that no man has touched her. We can testify she's still a virgin and untouched, because you can touch and still not be a virgin. But this one is untouched. We have watched over her always. These are the virgins talking. You hear the doves? Always she has continued with us in prayer. In prayer, people, I want you to notice that. Daily do the angels of God speak with her. Do you know what a prophet does? A prophet speaks with the angels. Daily does she receive food from the hand of the Lord. Do you know how she hears those angels? She hears those angels through the purple. We know not how it is possible there can be any sin in her. She is pure. But if you wish to tell, okay, and then she goes on, blah, blah, blah. Right? I want you to see, take it down. I want you to see the virgins talking now. You say, what? The virgins? You remember those girl prostitutes that fingered Peter? And when I say fingered, I mean like in the 1950s way. Like, you catch somebody, right? Right? Yeah, I should have a hat and a trench coat. No, but they caught him. They caught Peter. They were a couple of female prostitutes, underage female prostitutes. They caught him, right? Who do you think these virgins are? Yeah, who do you think these virgins are? They're working in the temple. Yeah, there's got to be gold behind this, baby. There's got to be gold. And they bring it to him. Here it is. What are we here for? We're here for that virgin baby. Woo! Yeah. Yeah. Gonna bring that star. Yeah. Morning star. Okay, go to Egypt. Now let's go to the next one. And there will be in the final days. I know. Thanks for waiting, Gnostic. If you're out there, if you're not, I'm going to make fun of you. And there will be in the last days, says God, what? Ekheo, I will pour out. Those of you who are in my class and you just looked at the hymn to Adonis, notice ek and heo were separated before by a de. You can take that prefix right off of its verb. You don't need to have it sitting on top of it. It's like the Greeks already made the connection. You don't need it. Apo to pneumatos, from my spirit. What am I going to do? I'm going to pour it on all flesh. I'm going to pour it on all flesh. And what's going to happen to that flesh? If this is making you excited, it should worry you a little bit, right? Because you're starting to smell the vapors. You're starting to get what's going on. And I'm going to make it. I'm going to put it on your flesh, kiddies. And what's going to happen? You're going to be prophets. Your sons and your daughters, they're all going to be prophets. And you little bitty kids, they're going to see visions. And the old goats are going to have dreams. Take it down. Do you see what Jesus was doing with his business? Do you see what the business of the prophet is? Hit us again. We're almost through this, people. Thank you for staying for so long, but we're going to be done, and we're going to go on after that. If you're sitting there with your big TV, for the people who said, I watch this on my big TV, and with the whole family, shout out to you guys. Get a little more popcorn. Bring it down, right? What does he do, Jesus? Back to Jesus. You're so disgusting. What does he do? He takes a hold of Peter, James, and John. He takes them with him. And here's the drugs, people. What happens? He begins to ekthambesthai and ademonen. Now, you got to I'll tell you what ekthambo means. Ekthambo is like when you take a person who just got hit by a linebacker. Yeah. And now they're laying on the ground. They're kind of like, woo. They used to illustrate it with stars around the head. You know what I mean? That is being out of your senses. That's stunning, right? Jesus and the boys begin to enter into this phase, this state. And what is something that's adaimoneo? Look at this. Look at this. Adaimoneo means to be sorely troubled, dismayed, to be in anguish, to be in anguish. And notice that it's mental anguish. Go down to the next word. Yeah, what is apodemos? To be away, to be away. That they tell us. Alice tells us from Wonderland. She tells us, hey, she whispers, hey, this is related to this derivation wise, away from one's country or abroad. Do you know what it means to be out of your head? Look at that second line, tesemes gnomes. Yeah, to be gone, baby. He's entering a state of stonedness and he is dazed. He is dazed. Now, isn't there a naked kid somewhere? You know, every time you're with Jesus, there's going to be a kid. And this time, the kid's naked. Yes. Go back to the next one. Oh, love it. And what happens? And he says to them, what my soul is perilupos, heos thanatu, to the point of up until the stage of death. This is where my pain is, my lupe. Look what he's doing. He's not bawling on the ground because he stubbed his toe or he broke his leg or something, right? His psyche is being affected by what they took, what was on that bread that Nonus tells us. I don't care if you like him or not, or think he's canonical or not. That Nonus tells us was full of the was full of the poison that the antidote that he was given on the cross was meant to counteract, the oxos. That was meant to counteract that stuff that he was putting in the bread that he gave to Judas when he drugged Judas. Yeah, love it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Oh, it's a long one, people. Jesus says, get up. Yeah, and pray. What happens? Jesus is whacked. And he comes back to Peter, James, and John. He leaves the naked boy that's in the middle of the park with him. He comes back, stone throws away, to where Peter, James, and John are keeping guard. These teenage boys are keeping guard. And what does he say happens to him? They fall asleep. And he says, wait, Bill Cosby says what? He says, get up and pray. So you don't, okay, it's creepy. So you don't enter into the temptation. So you don't enter that phase. You remember where that temptation comes from, that perasmon, that comes from the place where we get kicked, the eremon, not the topos, but the eremon, that wilderness, that void. That is where we get kicked under the influence of the drug. And when you are there, that's when the trial takes place. That's when the trial takes place. And he tells them, get up and walk around and move, people. Walk around and move and pray. Are you ready? What are we doing? We're praying. What is Mary doing when she's being fed by the angels? What is she doing when she's working with the purple? She's praying. Keep going. We got to finish up. People are like, hurry up, old man. I'm tired. Watch what happens. Jesus, can you tell me, Jesus, one more time? Oh, one hit. I can feel. I felt that one right on his privies. Let's find out what this means. Kai affintes auton effugon pantes. What happened, Jesus, to all your boys? They all ran away. Jesus lost his boys. He lost the lost boys in the end, right? Only a couple of them tried to follow him, and they got scared off anyway because the female prostitutes were like, dude, you're the boys from Galilee. We know you. We know what you guys are up to. Why do you think one of them gets him in the temple, right? And Peter's walking behind him. Why do you think that happens? Oh, they go fishing together. The priest, the dude who's overseeing temple access, he goes out with one of Jesus's boys. You didn't see that kid there? They don't give him a name. Shh. Right? He's got his oil. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. And what happens? There was a Neoniskos. There was some kid. Look, it even uses an indefinite here. Tis just some kid. There was some kid serving Jesus wrapped up in a, wrapped where? Wrapped epigumnos, wrapped on his privy members with a bandage. And they went to grab him, the arresting people, because they were going to enter that into the record. Jesus Christ, you and I are sitting here, take it down. You and I are sitting here, and you and I cannot use that boy as a witness of history, because he got away. If the Romans had caught him, you still would have been crucified, but church would have never been born. Church would have never been born with that naked kid that was with Jesus when he was arrested. If we had that naked kid's testimony, Jesus Christ would have been one of history's biggest criminals, not the Savior, and certainly not the one who is twisting your world. Yeah. It's RICO laws, baby. Let's go to the next one. Mark 14:52. And what did the kid do? He left behind the scene dona, right? He dropped the scene dona. He dropped that bandage and efugin gumnos, and ran away gumnos. There is no mistaking this word right here in people, in Greek. This word right here, there is no mistaking. It means naked. Naked. Gumnos. Naked. Good. So what happened to your kids, Jesus? They all ran away, including the one that was with him that had a medicated bandage on his private parts with Jesus in a public park at 4 a.m. And what about Jesus's face? Did the arresting officers get any sort of description? Yeah, remember he has this bloody kind of dark reddish clotted blood stuff for his hudor. His hudor. What? Bring me the give me the next one. Give me the next one. And going out to pray, he comes across his apostles, right? Returning back from that prayer, he comes back to his apostles and he finds them comatose, right? And what are they comatose from? They're comatose from lupe, from that state of anguish that leads to death. They're there. Can this cup pass, Jesus? Can you take this cup away? Right? No. Fortunately, people, it's the will. It's the will of you-know-who. Got to bring that cup. Jesus has got it too, even with his stuff that's all over his face. And look here at the bottom, people. Just look, as Jesus is stoned, look at this bottom line. Thromboi haimatos. They were like clots of blood. And what are they doing? What are they doing? Coming down into that earth, coming down into that basal layer where we know Erechthonius, if you want to say him. The Erechteum is built in honor. That offspring of the Virgin. Who is Erechthonius? He's the offspring of the Virgin. He's half serpent. Half serpent. He is the Son of God. He is the Son of God, produced by the Theotokos. Yeah, the God bearer. That's who he is. Let's go to the last. We're almost there at last one. People look. No, go back up one. People look here. What's happening when Jesus has this stuff on his face, right? Which makes you wonder, right? You evangelicals, you can excuse this and say, oh, you can have a disorder of your sweat glands and it causes you to produce a dark red material. And this is what Jesus must have. It's amazing the lengths that you idiots will go to. It's amazing. Let's go. And I mean idiot, people, not like a modern idiot. I mean like in antiquity. Somebody who has no access. Yeah. Fantastic. Let's go to that last one. What's this stuff? Where is Jesus when he's in the middle of this? He is in the middle of agonia. and you think you're a Catholic, you're a Protestant, and you know the agony. You're Mel Gibson, and you know the agony. You put it up, and you put it up on the screen, and you know what you did? You lied, because you don't read Greek, you don't read classical text, you have no idea who any of these thousand authors are. You have no idea these thousands of pages. You have no idea. All you get is what you hear from a priest or a preacher, or when you pick up your book and King James molests you with his translation. That's all you get. By the way, we're going to be done soon, and not only with this episode, but with satanic initiation. And I am looking for students. I'm looking for students who are serious and who want the tool, right? I joked about Henry Cavill. I wouldn't charge you, Henry. I may charge you half, but that's a serious offer, Chewy. That's a serious offer. But I'm looking for the best of the best. I'm looking for samurai, is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Ronin, and I'm looking to train them. Yeah. So anybody who's interested needs to find me. Go to the next one. Jesus is in agony, people. And what is his agony? What is the agony really? It's a contest or a struggle. And notice they put gymnastic exercises. What does that agon do? What does that agon do? It is a place up here where you go. And Jesus is there as a magus with his children who are drugged. Take it down. This is the reality. This is the reality of what you've got in Christianity. This is the real that I'm bringing you today. I want you to see Jesus for the person that he was, for the person that he was. I want you to see him with the people that he worked with. I want you to know, whether you're Christian or Jew, Muslim, atheist, it's the same group. You're all atheists. I want you to see Jesus for who he is. It looks like we don't have Gnostic tonight. Gnostic was going to tell you about Epimenides. Perhaps he'll call up. It's time now, Gnostic, to come up. I'll give him 2 minutes, but he may tell you about Epimenides with his quote that Paul uses. And it turns out, people, that quote is from, do we send him? Okay. I'll assume he can't make it. But he had an excellent point. And that's that we have a source, comes through Photius, quoting somebody, Ptolemy, somebody or else. And anyhow, by the way, there are thousands of these unknown people from antiquity who an author like Galen will say, the physician Andreas says in his great work, blah, 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 right? You didn't even know there was such thing as a dude named Andreas who was writing medical documents, right? But yeah, he's there. Right. And one of these talks about Epimenides quote and says, hey, this thing is actually from Medea. Medea was the one who used it. When Paul quotes Epimenides, he is quoting Medea directly. Yeah. When she called the Cretans liars because they had misjudged a contest. Yeah. Paul quotes that through Epimenides, which is highly, highly ironic. Beautiful and ironic at the same time. Tonight, we got to see a little bit of Jesus. We got to see a little testimony. We got to see who the man was, where he came from, what kind of life he was living. Now, we only have 2 sessions left. We only have one more satanic initiation, and we only have one more Bible study. So I will be bringing you on Friday the Omega. Thank you all for coming. Hail Satan.
never cared for fame and fortune or worldly renown. On the day that it came knocking, you just turned it down all the way. Why did you ever change your